Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'll play this video and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
Hello, I'm Deputy Chief Terrence Rhodes of the Dallas Police Department's Criminal Investigations Group. I will brief you on the details as we know them of the officer-involved shooting that occurred on August 20th, 2022 at 2539 Hudspeth Avenue in Dallas, Texas. This is the sixth officer-involved shooting involving a Dallas Hudspeth Avenue.
Back this up. So let's take a look at the aerial here. So this is a pretty good giveaway about what we're about to get into and deal with. When you see this much fucking junk in someone's yard, that's a sign. And when you look at some of the other yards, like this one right behind it with all this shit in it, this one over here looking like junk, this one looking bad. I mean, this one don't look too bad. It looks pretty well kept up. This one kind of looking okay, not too bad. But when you see 4 lots out of this whole block right here looking kind of bad, like that's a sign that this is probably not going to be a great neighborhood. Of course, everyone wants to bitch and say you can't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, you kind of can. Like, over time, when things occur and there are certain things that are similar to each other, i.e. fucked up properties, that's a sign, or that's a clue, that's something that has been established time after time after time after time after time, that it's probably not the greatest neighborhood. You certainly do not go into neighborhoods where senators and congressmen live and see properties that look like this. Now, I'm not saying that senators and congressmen are all inherently better than regular people. Some of them are fucking trash and need to be, taken to the dump like trash is. But what I'm saying is, you can tell just from properties which neighborhoods are going to be kind of okay and not okay. And typically ones that have a bunch of junk in them are typically ones that are not okay. Now, there are some neighborhoods out there where you got like that one weird ass fucking hoarder dude or woman who just keeps everything in the damn property in the yard and it just piles up, and it's an issue. But we can tell that's not the case just by some of these other yards over here.
Dallas, Texas. This is the sixth officer-involved shooting involving a Dallas police officer in 2022. Body-worn camera footage will be shown at the end of this presentation. On August 20th, 2022, at 9:51 a.m., Dallas police received a 911 call about an armed encounter at 2539 Hudspeth Avenue. The caller, also the victim, stated that 60-year-old Jerome Stevenson shot an AK-style rifle at them. Dallas police officers Robert Lyons and Holly Harris responded and arrived at 9:55 a.m., finding Stevenson's son and a juvenile standing in the front yard of the home. The son pointed toward the front door, stating Stevenson was on the porch. The officers then saw Stevenson in the doorway with a black rifle held in their direction. Officer Lyons ordered Stevenson to drop the rifle multiple times. When he did not comply, he then discharged his department-issued weapon one time at Stevenson, striking the door frame. Stevenson surrendered, stating multiple times he no longer had the gun. No one was injured in the incident. Stevenson was standing in the threshold of his front door at the time of the shooting. Stevenson was transported to Dallas Police Headquarters for an interview with detectives. Stevenson told police he was involved in a fight with his family and he had fired a rifle 2 times inside his home at the ceiling. Stevenson claimed that he did not know there were police officers at the scene until he heard them yelling at him to drop the weapon. Further investigation determined the original 911 caller changed their statement that Stevenson shot into the air and not at them. A search warrant was obtained for the home. 2 holes were located in the ceiling inside the residence, which was consistent with Stevenson's statement. A black rifle was also found inside the doorway of the home. Stevenson was arrested for discharge of a firearm in certain municipalities with a population of more than 100,000. Officer Harris did not discharge her weapon. Dallas Police Special Investigations Unit responded and continues to investigate the incident. The Dallas County District Attorney's Office responded and is conducting an independent investigation. The Office of Community Police Oversight was notified and responded to the scene. In an effort to be transparent, the Dallas Police Department is releasing the body-worn camera footage of the incident.
Hey, sweetheart.
All right, so getting on scene, and he's already got his gun out. So they're responding to a call, knowing that gunplay is involved, and they get on scene. At least he's got his handgun out and ready. My biggest complaint with incidents like this is they get on scene, or they go to a scene involving gunplay, but they neglect to get rifles out. That's one of my biggest complaints about videos like this. That is a problem all across the nation. Officers responding to calls that are involving guns, and they neglect to go there with rifles out and ready. If you know you're going to a gunfight, bring a rifle and bring your friends with rifles. Rifles outperform pistols every day of the week. It is a night and day difference. There's no arguing that. A rifle's ability to be accurate at longer distances and even closer and intermediate distances, because it has more points of contact on it, a longer barrel, and its terminal ballistics are far superior to that of a pistol. There are quite a few people who are still walking around today who've been shot with pistols. Shot multiple times by pistols. There are not that many people walking around today who've been shot with rifle. Now, there are some who are walking around who've been shot with a rifle, but when you compare them to those who've been shot with pistols, there's a fuck ton more people walking around who've been shot by pistols than there are people who've been shot with rifles, because the terminal ballistics, the kinetic energy that rifle cartridges exert are just devastating, and they are what you want for incapacitating power. The only reason why pistols are carried all the time is because they're comfortable and they're convenient, and they can incapacitate and be able to be used in exigent circumstances when something suddenly happens and you obviously cannot go back to the car to grab a rifle. And these exigent circumstances are rare. Police are not getting into gunfights every single day. Not at the local level. Now, you look at the national level, you watch this channel, there's a video damn near every fucking day showing officer-involved shooting. So you may think, oh shit, police shoot a bunch of people. When you zoom in and you go to the local level, that's just not happening. If you think about your local agency or agencies, when's the last time any of them have been in a gunfight? And if it's been recent, try to think before that. It's probably been a while. Now, the exception is obviously larger cities. Larger cities, there's going to be more occurrences, more incidents going on that increase the likelihood of officer-involved shootings. So, I can't say, it's been a while since Dallas has had a shooting, because I wasn't too long ago that I did an officer-involved shooting video for this agency, and I think there's probably like one or two more that I have in line to do. But for the rest of America that is not, is the towns that are not as big as Dallas, the majority of your police out there are going their entire career and not having to shoot anyone. They're not having to get into gunfights. They may point their guns at people, but they're not getting in the gunfights. So that is a factor into why pistols are carried all the time. Because you're just not needing to fucking shoot people. Like, if you were having to shoot people all the fucking time, you would want a rifle for that. Because that rifle is going to do a really good job at getting the desired effect. If police were getting into gunfights every single day, they would still likely carry the pistol on their side as a backup, but their primary go-to firearm would be a rifle. Because they would learn very quickly that they need superior firepower, and that comes in the form of a long gun. So they would either be carrying rifles or shotguns if they were getting the gunfights every single day. So that's part of the issue on why officers go to these calls that involve people with guns and they neglect to get their rifles out. They're just so complacent, so used to always getting to a call and never having to get that rifle out, always getting out with a pistol. It's just a go-to thing. The other issue, I think, has a contributing factor into why we see this is a lack of realistic training. And this is a multifaceted thing. So a lack of good or realistic training, first and foremost, is instructors. So not every agency has great instructors. A lot of agencies will take an office person and have them go to an instructor school because it is logistically easier to take an office person and have them do classes rather than take someone off the street and have them do classes. Because then you have to find someone to cover that person. Now you're looking at, your overtime budget. And if you can't find coverage, then you're going to have to delay the class. And then you delay the class, you're pushing it closer to that deadline of, you start going to get in trouble if, things aren't done, be out of compliance, etc. It's a whole lot easier to take someone who's working in the office and say, hey, clear your schedule for Thursday and Friday. You need to do firearms training. Versus someone working patrol, take them off the street. People are out sick. People are on vacation. People just can't come in and work. Take that one person off the street, and then now they're short one, and it's unsafe for the rest of the crew to be working without that one person. Or that one person could be the only one out in a particular area or something. So it's a whole lot easier for agencies to pick someone from the office to become an instructor. Does that office person necessarily mean that they're going to be a good instructor? No, hell no. Are there office people who are great instructors? Absolutely, there are. But not all of them are. Some just absolutely suck and do not need to have any type of instructor capability. They don't even need to have the title instructor for anything. They couldn't even teach a fucking pack of Boy Scouts how to go look at some titties. So when you have instructors who are not good at what they do not instill the right mindset into their students, and they do not pass along or they do not ingrain into their students the skills and the tactics that they need. They may cover that stuff, but they do not go in depth with it, and they do not have it ingrained. There are many times all across this nation where officers will need to be doing a research class or do in-service training, and they're supposed to be, in a class for 2 hours or for 4 hours, but the instructor, they've been used to their office schedule of being able to go home at a certain time, and they want to keep that up. They got shit they want to do. So that class that everyone is supposed to be in for a minimum of 2 hours, well, they skip through some shit, and they, breeze through some slides, and now this 2-hour class turns into a 45-minute class, and everyone leaves. Well, the rest of everyone else in that class, they don't want to fucking be there either. They want to go home, so they don't ever say anything about it, and they just sign off on the signing roster. Oh, yeah, we was here for 2 hours, and then they fucking go home. That happens all across the country. And for some stuff, it can go on and nothing major happens, but in the totality of things, it's building training scars. It is allowing people's perishable skills to further diminish. Like the woman who, I forgot the location of it. They had the guy pulled over. They were trying to pull him out of the car, and she said that she thought she grabbed her taser, but she instead grabbed her firearm and unholstered her firearm, pointed it at the guy, said taser, and then shot him with her fucking gun. She had been on that agency for several years. I want to say that she may have had a role in being a field training officer, possibly. So no telling how many hours of in-service that she had set through, how many hours of research that she set through. And there's really no 100% way for me to prove or disprove this unless I, go through the nitty-gritty process of doing all the open records requests of documents and trying to, get someone to come out and tell the truth and maybe find other supporting stuff to, line up with the time frames, like camera footage showing people being in an area at certain times, which probably would not exist. There's really no way to prove or disprove that when she took her research classes or her in-service classes, they were actually in there for the amount of time that they were supposed to be in there. There's no way to prove or disprove that. However, prior experience, seeing things, I would say that there's probably a pretty good possibility that she set in some classes that did not go the full length the way they were supposed to. I would say that there's probably a good possibility that there's some playing on a cell phone going on during class, which happens way too damn much. And there's also a possibility that, the initial instructor and or the follow-on instructors for research were not good instructors, and they were just office kind of people, and they did not instill the mindset and the skills and the tactics the way that needed to be done. They just kind of glossed over stuff. She passed the easy test and met that bare minimum standard and was quote unquote certified to carry that taser. And then under that high stress situation, she grabbed her gun instead of her taser and then fucking shot and killed someone. So we got bad instructors who don't do what they need to do to instill that fighting mindset and to ingrain those skills and tactics into people by doing lots of repetition. So a good example of this would be a CPR instructor who allows the students to do everything on the table, leaving the mannequin on the table to do compressions. Like that don't fucking happen. Like there's no goddamn person out there who has cardiac arrest and lands on a fucking table, and then you get to come up there and do compressions on them while they're laying on a table. Their ass is going to be on the fucking floor. That's where the students need to be. They need to be on the floor. They need to be on the ground. That's where they need to be doing their practicals at. That's where they need to be doing the chest compressions and everything. But incompetent, lazy-ass instructors do not push the students the way they need to be pushed. They don't put them in those environments. They don't do those things that need to be done to make them better. So in the firearms world, or tactics and everything. They may gloss over some of the stuff. They'll be on the line. They may talk about a tactical reload, but they do not spend 30 minutes or X amount of repetitions on having people do reloads. They may have them do a couple of them, but they sure as shit don't have enough drills and repetitions for them to go through 50 to 100 of them. Because they don't want to spend the time out there doing it. They'd rather gloss over shit and get the fuck home and do wherever it is they do at home. So bad instructors not doing stuff the way they need to be doing it. When it comes to the firearm stuff on the shooting range, this is in part bad instructors who just have a closed mindset. They can't think outside the box, and also just it's the stupid rules of a range itself. So most ranges out there operate on a 180 rule, meaning you're on the shooting line and you got to keep your gun pointed down range of the target. If you break 180 degrees, that's unsafe. You're not supposed to be doing that. You can't point your gun in any other direction other than at that target. You also have to all be evenly on that line. No one can be a foot or two forward of it. No one can be a foot or two behind of it. If anyone starts to go forward just a little bit, the instructor will call for a ceasefire and will tighten everyone up and make sure they're all in a nice straight little line. And then there is also the unrealistic safety rules for being on the range property with an empty gun, and the only time you can have your gun loaded is when you are on the shooting line and you're actively shooting. So those are safety rules put into place that are totally unrealistic and serve no real purpose. And instructors, they will abide by this and not think twice about it. And it's asinine to me. So you can take a school resource officer, put them in an elementary school with little kindergartners, first graders, small children, and they can walk around with a loaded gun, 2 loaded guns, most likely, one on their side and a backup, either in their vest or on their ankle. Walk around with loaded guns all damn day, Monday through Friday, every hour of the week. Nothing's wrong with that. But the minute they show up to a fucking shooting range, they better have their gun unloaded, and they cannot walk around with a loaded gun on that shooting range, and they have to have their slide locked to the rear with the magazine out of the gun. And if they don't, they're a fucking safety hazard. They're a risk. How fucking stupid is that? Like, seriously, how fucking dumb? You're going to let this person walk around in elementary school with 2 loaded fucking guns, but the minute he steps foot on the range and his slide is forward in the battery and he's got a magazine in the gun, you're going to fucking chew his ass out and say he's unsafe and he needs to make his gun safe while in the range? That's fucking retarded. It really is. And there are quote-unquote firearms instructors out there who would not blink an eye at that kind of thing. They're like, oh yeah, this is for safety, yeah. If you got so much of a soup sandwich motherfucker walking around that you can't trust them on the shooting range with a loaded gun, then that means you probably should not trust them in a school with children walking around with a fucking loaded gun. Right? So what does that come into play for rifles? Well, when you think about pistols being on the range for training purposes, it's on your side. And starting on the range like that is realistic, because if you're going to be working, you're going to have a duty belt on, you're going to have your handgun on your side, right? Like, you're always going to start with that handgun on your side. So starting on the line with a holstered handgun is realistic. When it comes to rifles, starting on the line with a rifle in your hand is not realistic. You're not going to be starting everything off at work with a rifle in your hand, because you don't normally walk around with a rifle in your hand or a rifle slung to your front. It's either in a rifle mount or in the trunk. You don't walk around with the fucking thing. So starting the training off like that is unrealistic. Instead, what needs to happen is the officer needs to start from within the car, retrieve the rifle from wherever its stowage location is, charge it, get to the shooting line, and then commence the shooting part. That's what should happen. That should be more realistic training. Those are drills that need to be incorporated in patrol rifle training. Getting the rifle out of its fucking spot. And then getting to the X. But that wouldn't happen on 99% of police shooting ranges out there because of those unrealistic safety rules. You can't have a loaded gun if you're off the shooting line. That's fucking bizarre. So that would never fly. You can't have them walking around and then there'd be other students either forward or to the rear and they have a loaded gun. Like, they all have to be on that shooting line in order to start shooting. And if anyone's forward or behind it, you gotta stop. So, because of those unrealistic rules, realistic training with firearms does not get to occur. So crappy ass instructors, stupid ass range rules that prohibit realistic training. Those are some of the training issues that I see that plague the industry all across the nation, and is partly why we see officers respond to calls where someone has fucking shot a gun and they neglect to get a rifle out. All right, into that rant. Moving on.
Hey! Drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! Hey! No! You see my fucking son right there?
Hey, grab it. Come here.
All right, back it up.
Come here. Come here.
Hey! Drop the gun!
So she is forward of him, and which from his angle, we can't see very well. I'm sure some people are like, he's pointing his gun at her. I don't believe that his muzzle is crossing her in any way. But this is what I'm talking about with realistic firearms training. So on a shooting range, anything similar to this would never be replicated. Never. Like, you would never see someone forward of another shooter like this. Even if they were 10 feet to the left or right, you would never see someone that far forward on the shooting line. The instructor would blow the whistle and say, oh, it's unsafe, we can't be doing this shit. There is training value. There is something to be learned when you're able to move people around on the range and there is shooting going on. Do you do it in the very beginning of the firearms training? No. Fuck no. You do it towards the later stage, once all the fundamentals are learned and you've been able to gauge people's skills and see that they're pretty well accurate. Then you can start moving people around on the range, getting them used to being forward of people shooting and being behind people shooting at safe distances. That way they can feel and experience what it's like when a gun goes off somewhere to their rear or somewhere to their side, and they are feeling that different concussion feel. They are feeling the heat come out of that muzzle. There was a video, I forget the name of the agency. It was during the daytime. They were responding to I forgot exactly what it was they were responding to, but it was an apartment complex and there's like a duplex kind of thing. So there's like multiple duplexes around, and one of them was on fire. This dude set it on fire. Is a black dude, crazy black dude, had like some like racial stuff like spray painted on his truck or whatever. They get there, police get involved in a gunfight with them, and there's officers taking cover behind a vehicle. One is right up on a vehicle shooting around the side of it, and one is several feet back and to the left a little bit, and they start shooting. Well, that one who was forward of him, closest to the vehicle, you can visibly see him basically freak the fuck out when that officer behind him is shooting. And you see him very quickly like jerk, move out of the way. And that's because he's probably never felt what it's like for someone to their rear to be shooting a gun. And like you feel it, like the concussion. Like if you're on a shooting line and you're shoulder to shoulder and you can feel other people's guns shooting. And if you've done that, then you know what I'm talking about. You know what that feeling is. Well, when you're forward of them, that feeling, those senses that you feel, they change. They're a little bit more intensified. And you can literally feel the fucking heat blowing towards you like a damn hairdryer in a sense. Like a hairdryer that shoots out, burst of hot air. Like you can literally feel the hot, warm air blowing onto you when someone is kind of to your rear shooting. And when you do that on the range in a safe, controlled manner, you inoculate yourself to those senses, those feelings, and you are less likely to react in a panicked mode, like in that video where you can see that one officer reacting in panic, like, oh fuck, oh shit, and jerking and moving out of the way because they've never felt that before. Luckily, that wasn't detrimental to them during that incident. But in something like that, where someone is freaking the fuck out because they're feeling something they've never felt before, and they jerk, move, and get out of the way, well, they could inadvertently jerk, move out the way, and very quickly move into someone else's firing line, and then become a potential victim that way. Or they could lose their hold in that position and expose themselves, moving out behind cover, get hit. A number of different things could happen from someone making a quick, panicked move like that. And so there is training value in having people forward of the line and getting to feel those senses, getting that sensory learning, I guess you could say, taking place. Because it's different. Like when you're forward of another person shooting their gun, it feels a lot different than what it feels like when you're shoulder to shoulder shooting.
What the fuck you doing? Hey, no! You see my fucking son right there?
Hey, grab it. Come here.
Did you see my fucking son? Hey, son!
Delta 774 shots fired.
Get back!
Get back.
Get back! Running out with my fucking gun! Get over here!
Walk.
Get over here! Get over here!
Come here.
This man's trying to keep my gun.
Fucking ran out with the gun. Did you see that? You fucking ran at us with the gun.
Don't shoot him! Don't shoot him!
Come here!
He ain't got no fucking gun!
Come here!
Put the gun up!
Come here!
No!
Alright, so a loss of command and control of this scene. The people who are doing the yelling and the shouting, or the people who do not need to be doing the yelling and the shouting. That dude who is fucking yelling and walking around dominating his space, he doesn't need to be doing that. The police are the ones who need to be doing that. They're the ones who need to be getting loud and issuing loud verbal commands and dominating that space. That dude running up on them like that after shots have been fired and he's acting aggressive and hostile, he needs to be fucking dealt with. Let's back this up.
Come here.
Hey! Drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! Hey! No! You see my fucking son right there?
Hey, grab it. Come here.
Did you see my fucking son? Hey, sir!
Delta 774 shot fired.
Get back!
Get back.
Yeah, so this right here, options here. Spray him, tase him, or physically assist his ass to the fucking ground. He does not need to be dictating what's going on. He does not need to be dominating this space over here. He is a threat to their life. While he is pulling this bullshit fucking charade, they are being distracted by a dude with a fucking rifle. A rifle that is going to punch through their soft armor, no problem. A rifle that will punch through this fucking car door right here and go through the other car door on this side over there. No fucking problem. This guy is no different than one of these dumb fuck motherfuckers who drives their car over a fire hose at a fire scene. He is jeopardizing the life of the people who are manning that hose inside that house. This dude is no different than someone coming up and grabbing onto someone and shaking them when paramedics have an AED attached to a person in cardiac arrest and they can't deliver a shock because dumb fuck here is holding on to someone crying, telling them don't leave, wake up. People like this in situations like this need to be dealt with aggressively and swiftly. Otherwise, the longer you cater and pander to their fucking bullshit, the adversary is gaining an advantage, or can be gaining an advantage. Be decisive, be aggressive, be swift. This is a threat. He may not have a gun in his hand, but he is sure as fuck allowing the other person who does have a gun to gain an advantage. So like I said, spray, tase, or physically assist his ass to the fucking ground and make him know without any mistake, without any confusion whatsoever, that he has fucked around and he has found out.
Walk. Come here.
Fucking ran out with the gun. Did you see that? You fucking ran at us with the gun.
Don't shoot him!
Come here!
He ain't got no fucking gun!
Come here!
The gun is up!
Come here!
No, I ain't going no fucking work! No!
Delta 774, cover code 3.
Go get him!
Yeah, and then, so he's got this aggressive, hostile person acting like that, and then he starts to walk forward, and this person is now to his rear. Yeah, no, this is poor scene management in my opinion.
Why'd you run out with the fucking gun, man?
Because he ain't got no gun. I'm trying to keep my door in. Ain't got no gun. This is my house. This is my house. I stay here too.
You don't stay here.
You going to fucking
You don't
jail.
stay here.
You going to fucking
You don't
jail.
stay here.
You going to fucking
You
jail.
don't stay here.
You going to fucking
You
jail.
don't stay here.
My fucking son out here.
Okay. Is everybody okay?
Man, yes. I got keys to this house. I got clothes. I got some nails.
Stand up. Stand the fuck up. Stand the fuck up. Stand the fuck up.
I got bad knees.
Okay, roll.
I got bad knees.
Roll.
I'm trying to get
Roll.
up. I'm trying to get up.
Okay.
He just did that shit.
No, you
fucking jail.
you're an
You going to fucking jail.
Like that other dude needs to be in fucking cuffs.
Come here. Come here. Come here.
Hey! Drop the gun! Drop the fucking gun! Hey! No! You see my fucking son right there?
Hey, grab it. Come here.
Did you see my fucking son? Hey, son!
Delta 774 shot fired.
Get back!
Get back.
Get back!
Walk. Come here.
Take his fucking ass to jail. Did you see that?
Come here. Come here.
Come here! He ain't got no fucking gun!
Come
Put
here.
the guns up!
Come here.
No, I ain't going no fucking where.
Come here.
No!
This shit irritates the fuck out of me. God damn, it gets my fucking blood boiling. Cannot stand motherfuckers like this.
No!
74 code 3.
Go get him, he ain't got no fucking gun! Don't fucking say he got no gun, man! I'm about to hit him, ain't got no gun, I'm trying to kick my door in! Ain't got no gun! This my house! That's my house! That's my house! I stay here too! You don't stay here! You wanna fucking 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 stay here! My fucking son out here!
Okay. Look, is everybody okay?
Man, I got keys to this house, I got clothes, I got fucking mail. My mama called me over here. I'm trying to sir, I got bad news. No! I got a fucking newborn baby in the car. I'm trying to go.
I got it.
No, he should have did that shit. You going to fucking jail. You going to fucking jail.
God damn. What a clusterfuck. So much for no gun, right? So I just gotta say, this house has a really nice camera. Like, better than some banks and gas stations. Some people are just straight trash. So I'm going to try and skip ahead. Well, I don't want to miss anything that's going on. Alright, I'll start skipping. Alright, so now the police are getting here. Now, so here's one thing I want to say. I guarantee you that this same dude who's called the police and wants the police there is probably the same kind of person who says fuck the police. Why did you kick inside the car there? Yeah, you know, she should have just fucking grabbed him and just fucking shoved the fuck out of him, got him out of the way. This dude is, like I said earlier, he is dominating the space, and they are allowing him to dominate it. Ugh. Okay. So, usual rant about not bringing rifles out. At this, you know, you got to think about this distance right here. So it's not like it's that great of a distance, but pistols are really great under stress at bad breath distances. Beyond that, there's a lot of misses that occur, and they're just not that accurate. You know, she shot at the dude, presumably with the intention of fucking hitting the guy, and missed. So, and that, like I said, that's not a great distance, but still, when you're dealing with a pistol that has a very short barrel on it, and there's only 2 points of contact, there's going to be misses at even minimal distances there. So, that is why, one of the reasons why a rifle should be employed in something like this, or even a shotgun. It's going to be accurate at a distance because you have more points of contact on it, and it has a longer barrel, and of course you just get that great terminal ballistics on it. It's going to have a lot more energy than a pistol cartridge. Really, you know, the biggest gripe I have is their lack of taking control of the scene. That dude dominated that. That dude was the one who realistically was in charge and was dictating to some extent what was going on. They were not controlling him in any way, and he, by doing all that and then allowing him to do all that, he could have been creating a situation where the adversary was getting an advantage and was able to take a better position, get more armament, whatever, to take out the police. So, and it sucks that with the way things have gone here in the last few years towards law enforcement, because I can only imagine that, you know, it could have been also in the back of their head that, well, this guy ain't got anything on him. You know, if we touch him, we might get in trouble. Whereas a decade ago, 2 decades ago, like, I just don't see that kind of shit happening, you know, back in the 80s and 90s with as much frequency that it does today. I'm sure there were some dumb fucks like that back in the day in some other places, but to see that many dumb fucks all the time, I just don't think that you know, that would have been going on. I certainly think that had something similar occurred several years back, that dude would have been put in his place real fucking quick, as he need to be put in his place. not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.